is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Wisconsin.
And we welcome you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's another beautiful night for baseball here in the Steel City, and it's the final game of the series. The Brew Crew and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Game 3 of this set. It is the rubber game here tonight. The Brewers winning yesterday 9-5. It was an impressive offensive attack. 12 hits yesterday and 9 walks. Big topic today with manager Craig Counsell. Now we're set up for the finale of this series. And hi, everybody. We welcome you inside PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Alongside Bill Schroeder, I'm Brian Anderson. Sophia Minard, our reporter tonight. Well, Jonathan Villar fronts the stolen base list, but as a team, the Brewers are making news this year, Rock, with their stolen base prowess. 5 of them last night. What gives?
Yeah, it's nice when you have guys that can steal bases. I mean, everybody wants to be able to steal, but the Brewers now have guys that can do that. They lead the major leagues in stolen bases this year, and they're being pretty efficient in doing it. I mean, the Brewers are about 68%, which is very good. 5 stolen bases last night, and directly responsible for 4 different runs. And Jonathan Villar, certainly the guy that leads all of baseball in those stolen bases. He's been caught 11 times. He's a risk taker, but most of the time he has been successful. It's been fun to watch him this year.
I like that stat. 5 stolen bases last night, producing 4 runs. We're set up for the last game of the series. The Brewers are coming home after tonight. They got a series with the Cubs coming up. It's Garza against Liriano, and it's next on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Brewers are shaking hands last night. Now they're trying to make it back-to-back wins and get out of here with a series win on a very warm night in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 88 degrees, very humid as well. Great baseball weather tonight downtown Pittsburgh. Tonight's game on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. And we welcome you from the banks of the Allegheny River at PNC Park, one of the great ballparks in the big leagues. Craig Counsell and the Brewers matching up against Pittsburgh. The Pirates are coming to town next weekend. It'll be their first trip to Milwaukee, and the Brewers are trying to even up the season series with a win today. There are some big names, 2 All-Stars not in the starting lineups for their respective teams tonight. And for more on that, we check in with the third member of our team, Sophia Minard.
Thanks, Bia. Yeah, Jonathan Lucroy for the Brewers, no cause for concern there, just a scheduled day off. Manager Craig Counsell saying they wanted him to catch the first 5 games coming out of the All-Star break. So this was planned from the beginning that he would have tonight off. He is here tonight in the lineup and available off the bench. And for the Pirates and Clint Hurdle, Starling Marte was a late scratch for them with flu-like symptoms. So their outfield, it'll be Gregory Polanco over in left field, Andrew McCutchen in center, and Matt Joyce will take over for Starling Marte in right field.
All right, Sophia, thanks for that update. So 2 of the game's big stars not available tonight. You figure Lucroy could be available to pinch hit later. Not sure about Marte. We'll keep an eye on it. Jake Elmore's in that lineup tonight. As you take a look at the rest of the Brewers batting order, courtesy of Potawatomi, Jonathan Villar, Jake Elmore, and Ryan Braun. And then it's Carter Perez and Jeanette in the middle, with Will Middlebrooks, Martin Maldonado getting the call behind the plate for Lucroy, and Matt Garza rounding out the starting 9. And Rock on the mound, it is a struggling left-hander, Francisco Liriano. He's been great for the Pirates in the past. He's helped them change the culture here into a winning culture, been a big part of their playoff runs, but it's been a different story this season.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, his command has not been there. 62 walks, that's most of any pitcher in the National League. So you figure this patient Brewers offense is going to have to be very careful to make sure Liriano throws him strikes, making start number 16 against Milwaukee. 6-6 so far. He was 0-2 last year. Actually, Taylor Youngman beat him both times last year. And let's check out the Pirates defense, brought to you by Menards tonight. The Pirates lead the National League in turning double plays. They've turned a ton of them in this series. They've had 104 double plays this year. Got Polanco, McCutchen, and Joyce. Freese, Mercer, Frazier, and Jaso from third to first, and Eric Fryer behind home plate.
Last night, the Pirates turned 3 double plays in the game. Brewers had a lot of traffic on the bases, and they won it 9-5. Now the final game of the series, and the first pitch is in there for a strike, and away we go from PNC Park. Jonathan Villar back in the leadoff spot, and he is at the front of this terrific base stealing team in Milwaukee this year. We hit that in the open today, leading the majors in stolen bases as a team, and Villar leads the majors by himself for individual stolen bases this year. He has 34. Certainly a guy that Liriano wants to keep off the base paths.
Yeah, the Pirates weren't able to do a very good job of that last night. Villar was on 4 times last night, scored a run, drove one in. Liriano with a decent move over to first base, so that should be a pretty good matchup tonight.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Villar. Little chopper foul. Count will stay at 1-2. Jonathan just keeps putting the pieces together. He's turning himself into a very high level big league shortstop at age 25. Still strikes out a lot. Has 100 strikeouts coming into play tonight. But he is wreaking havoc on the base paths. And there's an interesting note on him. His batting average with balls in play is right around the 400 mark, which is excellent. So you figure he cuts down on his strikeouts a little bit. It's going to raise the on-base percentage, and when he's swinging at strikes, he's a very good hitter.
And it's always helped to be able to run like he can. A lot of infield hits for Jonathan Villar.
There's a swing and a miss.
Change up.
Liriano's signature pitch. He got him in the first out as a K.
He's got a good change up. The slider has not been very good this year. Not that put away back foot slider. Yeah, to right-handed hitters, but this changeup, one of the best in the business from the left side. Getting Jonathan Villar on strikes. VR led off the game yesterday with a base hit. Actually a walk.
VR had 2 hits yesterday. Here's Jake Elmore. He gets the start tonight in Pittsburgh. Elmore came in last night as a pinch hitter. Had one of those 5 stolen bases. He had a hit last night at a pinch hit appearance. And rewarded tonight with a spot in the starting lineup. Elmore is playing center field tonight. A guy who has played all over the infield and has added outfield to his resume as well. They call those guys super utilities. Not just utilities, utility players. They're super utility players because of the outfield part of that equation. Hernan Perez has turned himself into a super utility as well. He's in right field tonight.
Not often you have a utility player that can go infield and outfield and start him in center field. That's a rarity. Elmore getting a start into this very big, spacious outfield here in Pittsburgh.
It's only Elmore's second start as a Brewer. His other start came as a second baseman. That was back on June 28th against the Dodgers. That was his Brewers debut, as a matter of fact. Brewers called him up from AAA Colorado Springs. He was a good hitter down there. He hit .320. Had 13 stolen bases at AAA. Full count. Elmore on the ground to third base. David Freese over there tonight for the Pirates, and there is out number 2. So 2-minute out. Here comes Ryan Braun. And Braun against the Pittsburgh Pirates. 163 career hits, Ruck. That is the most of any opponent he has faced. Obviously, the matchups in the National League Central add to that, but he has always been a Pirate killer throughout his career.
And he's always done very well here in this ballpark. And you know, the Brewers' success against the Pirates, I mean, it has been considerable. You know, the success that they have been able to, you know, beat the Pirates over the last number of years. A lot of that has to do with the success of Ryan Braun against these guys.
Now, Braun in this series is 3 for 7, but has had 3 hits taken away from him with outstanding plays. 2 by Josh Harrison at second base, and then 1 last night by Jung Ho Kang at third base. So yeah, he's 3 for 7, but could easily be 6 for 7. He's hitting the ball hard. Braun had 2 hits last night. He scored 3 runs.
And when Braun hits, normally the Brewers win.
Braun had one of the 5 stolen bases last night for Milwaukee. Brewers executed 2 double steals in the game last night. Not running as much as he normally has. Braun stole 24 last year. He only has 8 this season.
Yeah, other than VR, I mean, you don't have the big stolen base totals. We talked about it when we came on the air. Hernan Perez, surprisingly, you don't think about him as a base stealer, but he's got 11. Brewers as a team pretty efficient in stealing bases, about 68%. That's not bad.
Braun takes a strike on the outside corner. That'll go to 3-2. And a long walk back. Got the veteran umpire Jerry Davis behind the plate tonight. He's one of the better umpires in the game. World Series umpire, as a matter of fact.
Yep, lives in the Fox Valley in Wisconsin. Borderline, but got the call.
Yeah, you'll take that if you're a pitcher. And Braun is rung up. Liriano comes back from 3-0 to strike him out. 1-2-3 inning and a live wire crowd in Pittsburgh tonight. leadoff spot tonight as the Pirates come to bat for the first time. Clint Hurdle's Pittsburgh Pirates at 48-46 this year. They are 9 back in the division race to the Cubs, but they are right there in the picture for the wild card race. Here's the Potawatomi batting order for the Buccos tonight. Frazier, Polanco, and McCutchen. You got Matt Joyce getting the late add in right field, as Sophia reported, as Marte is out of the lineup tonight. Then David Freese and John Jaso. Bottom 3 is Jordy Mercer, Eric Fryer behind the plate, and Francisco Liriano will round it out. Matt Garza night tonight for the Brew Crew on a getaway night. And Garza hoping to send the Brewers home with a series win this evening.
Yeah, didn't pitch too bad in Cincinnati. Actually left with a 3-2 lead in the 6th inning against the Reds. Had a very good curveball in that start last time out, making start number 10 against the Pirates in his career. He's 2-3 so far, and 2-2 here in Pittsburgh.
Garza, 32 years of age. 7th start for Garza. Interesting that he's been able to come back well from that injury. Had a couple of bad starts against the Cardinals in the Nationals, but when I say come back well, he has been healthy. There's no lingering issues with the lat injury that had him on the shelf for the first 2 months of the season. So you're hoping, and the Brewers are hoping, that as he continues to fall into the rotation, that he gets stronger and stronger, and hopefully the best of Matt Garza is yet to come.
Yeah, and he really did have a bad start against the Nationals. Now that was at Washington. 7 runs in 4 1/3. That's what blew up that earned run average.
Garza is in year 3 of a 4-year contract. It's the largest contract given to a Brewer pitcher in franchise history. As Frazier pulls one foul, and the count remains at 0-2. There's a 4-year deal for Garza, signed prior to the 2014 season. Last year Garza went 6-14 with an ERA at 5.6.
A season that he would like to forget. Wasn't able to finish the season, was taken out of the rotation. He was ready to have a nice comeback season, but hurt himself right before the season started. Missed 2 months.
Spent a little time on the DL last year with shoulder tendonitis in July of last year, right about this time, as a matter of fact. And then did not start again or pitch again after September 5th of last season. So Garza, it's going to be a short season for him. He's not going to get the full complement of starts, but he's hoping to finish strong and take it all the way to the end of the season and then come back next year. The Brewers are going to need him to be an ace next year. Their highest paid pitcher. Into center field, long run for Elmore. He got a great jump on it though, and he'll make the catch for out number 1.
Yeah, tested already, right? Elmore out in center. A lot of room to cover out there. Let's check out the Menards Brewers defense. Braun, Elmore, and Perez. So you have a couple of guys relatively unfamiliar with the outfield out there tonight. Middlebrooks, VR, Jeanette, and Carter in the infield, and Martin Maldonado getting a start behind home plate for Matt Garza tonight.
First start in center field for Jake Elmore for the Milwaukee Brewers tonight. Handled that one very well. Guys like Elmore, you're seeing the group of players that fall into the same category as Elmore through the minor leagues, and guys that are coming up to the big leagues are extremely versatile. That has been a point of emphasis for the Brewers this season.
Every team has guys like that. I mean, when you have 9, or I should say 8 relievers in your bullpen, your bench has to be at least have a couple of guys that can move between the infield and outfield.
Oh, Jake's just glad to get a spot in the lineup, and his outfield play gets him there tonight. Gregory Polanco back in the 2 spot tonight. He had leadoff yesterday, and that late lineup change for Clint Hurdle, moving Polanco from right field to left field with Marte out with flu-like symptoms. Polanco hit leadoff for the first time all year last night, was 1 for 5.
Yeah, that's a big bat to have out of your lineup against the Brew Crew tonight. I mean, Marte's having a great year, and he can create some problems for you on the bases, just like Jonathan Villar. Very exciting young player, Marte, but he's not in there tonight.
Polanco comes in batting .282. He is the Pirates RBI leader with 51. Has 12 homers. He missed a little time. He just returned from the disabled list prior to the series starting. Had a hamstring injury. Down for a couple of weeks. Matter of fact, it had been since July 8th until his start here on Tuesday night. 3 balls and a strike on Polanco. And Garza misses, ball 4. I'm digging the Pirates uniforms tonight. They break these out every now and then, saluting the military. Their military grade uniform tops with the camo. It's a good look.
Yeah, it is.
First team I remember doing that with this version of the uniform was the San Diego Padres.
I think they did that on every Sunday game, right, at home.
Sand camo.
I mean, it does look good. I mean, it matches the colors for the Pirates pretty well.
Here's Andrew McCutchen, the former MVP.
Of course, they're hard to see out there, aren't they?
They blend right in. Good thing they're not playing on sand somewhere. Garza and misses to McCutchen. Well, you're trying to get out of town here before McCutchen figures it out. It's been a rough season for him. There is major concern here in Pittsburgh for their former MVP. And what kind of player is he going to be this year? He is putting up decent power numbers. He does have 14 home runs, but only 38 runs batted in as we get to the second week post All-Star break.
It's not often you see Andrew McCutchen in the 240s after the All-Star break. That's very low for him. And 2 guys that the Pirates counted on heavily, not off the very good start. Liriano, tonight's starter, on the mound, and Andrew McCutchen. But still, the Pirates feel as though they're right in it, which they are.
Garrett Cole, their ace, has been on the disabled list. He just returned. Certainly like what you saw out of Jameson Taillon the other day. He looks like a guy who could emerge as an elite starter in this game. With his stuff, he's got a mid-90s fastball and a great curveball. So the Pirates are hoping they're finally getting healthy again. They got Cervelli back Tuesday as well. Polanco returned. And just in the nick of time for Pirates fans, because right now the division title is looking like a long shot. And this is a team that knows all about the wild card game. They've been in it 3 times already. But it all revolves around this guy, Andrew McCutchen. As good as Starling Marte is, and he might be their best player now, McCutchen is still their unquestioned leader and 3-hole hitter. There's ball 4. Walked him on 4 straight, and Garza with back-to-back walks right out of the gates here in the first inning.
Yeah, season high for walks for Garza, 3. That's happened twice. Already 2 in the first inning, trying to be a little bit too fine with that fastball. Already a quick trip to the mound. Martin Maldonado going out there. Quick conversation. Gar doesn't throw all that hard. Got to have good command on both sides of the plate. So far, he hasn't been able to find that.
Matt Joyce gets a late call into the starting lineup tonight and gets the start in right field. Joyce and Garza, former teammates with the Tampa Bay Rays.
Throw him right in that number 4 spot.
Joyce has appeared as a pinch hitter twice in this series. He just missed the Rays World Series season of '08. That was the year Matt Garza was the MVP of the ALCS. Rays lost that World Series to the Phillies in 2008. Joyce came the next year. And there's a bomb in right field. That is up and out. 3-run home run for Matt Joyce. Just like that, the Pirates are on the board. Quick start for the Buccos tonight against Garza.
Fastball right down the middle, and we talked about the location for Garza. Imperative that he's able to keep the ball in the corners. He left that one right down the middle, and Joyce hit that one a line drive bullet out of here. Center cut up in the zone, and Pirates up 3-0 on one hit. A couple of walks and a home run.
So a bad start for Matt Garza tonight. Joyce had good numbers against Garza. He is now 4 for 8 lifetime. That's his first home run against him, and it is number 9 on the season for Joyce. Boy, you talk about a horseshoe right there. Clint Hurdle has to scramble to change up his lineup, and the guy he puts in there as a substitution for Marte hits a 3-run first inning homer.
Yep, throws him right in that cleanup spot, and there you see where the pitch is. I mean, that's about as right down the middle as you can get, and Joyce didn't miss it.
Now David Freese on the ground. Third base cut it off, and out number 2. Middlebrooks with back-to-back starts at third here in this series. And Joyce enjoying every bit of that. This guy doesn't get a whole lot of starts, mostly a pinch hitter, but he's put up some decent numbers.
Nice to have a veteran guy like Joyce, who's had a lot of experience in the big league. You can throw right in there when your starting outfielder comes up a little bit sick, and throw him in there, and he gets a big home run the first inning. Veterans off the bench, that's the key to having a successful team. That's what playoff teams do.
John Jaso on the first pitch, deep into right center, and that is going to get down. All the way to the wall it goes. Jaso not wasting any time. And the Pirates getting a couple of hard hit balls against Garza in this first inning.
Well, same situation. Fastball up, not a whole lot on it. We're talking about low 90s, and Jason able to hammer that one out into center field. One hops the wall. Getting some pretty good swings off of Garza. Really hadn't been able to get that breaking pitch over for strikes. Having to come in with a fastball.
Runner at second with 2 outs. Here's Mercer now, and that bounces on the way to third is Jaso. That hit the umpire. Otherwise, that is a run.
Oh, what a break that was.
It was very fortunate. That ball hit Sam Holbrook, umpiring third base. Otherwise, that's probably into left field.
Well, that ball didn't squirt away from Maldonado very far. Good base running by Jaso to take third, and had it not hit the umpire, it would have been a run. And just a few feet. Maldonado, not a very good throw. A good throw gets him, and that gets Holbrook solid right on the shin.
Ouch.
Saved a run.
No shin guards for the third base umpire. He needed them right there.
Maldonado normally is able to, put that throw right on the money. He would have been an easy out at third. Probably didn't have a very good grip on that baseball.
Runner at third with 2 away. The count is 1-1 on Mercer. 7th batter to hit in this first inning. And over to Middlebrooks. And that will do it. But a fast start for the Pittsburgh Pirates. One swing of the bat from Matt Joyce produces a 3-run first inning. 3-run homer in the first inning. And here we go to the second. The Brewers will have to play catch up tonight in the home of Heinz. Our Quicken Loans Rocket Arms for tonight shows the strikeout leaders for both teams. Nelson is the Brewers leader. Liriano has 95, sets the pace for the Pirates. And with the high strikeouts come the high walks. As a matter of fact, Liriano leads the National League in walks this season. Had 2 punch outs in the first, a 3 up, 3 down inning. And he'll face Chris Carter to start the second.
A pitcher that walks a lot of batters in an offense in the Brewers that take a lot of walks. They walked 9 times in yesterday's game. Not often you lose games when you walk 9 times. He's been very patient at the plate.
Carter comes in with 22 homers. He almost hit number 23 last night. With a one-handed fly ball that hit the top of the wall and left last night. Carter ended up with a double. 22 home runs, 54 RBIs, the Brewers leader in that category.
And a one-handed sacrifice fly to center.
Yeah, deep center. And he's down on strikes. 3 out of 4 that Liriano has faced, resulting in a K for Liriano so far.
If you don't lay off that changeup, he will eat you alive. You got to show him you're going to lay off that pitch, although it's a much easier thing to say than to do. He's got a very good changeup, down in the dirt, exactly where you want it with 2 strikes.
Well, Liriano over his career has been a second-half pitcher, and the Pirates are hoping he dials it in this second half. They need him desperately. In his career post All-Star break, Liriano is 15 over in his career on the win-loss and a .337 career earned run average. There's a liner, a base hit into left field, and Hernan Perez just keeps on hitting. Hernan had 2 hits last night, batting second. And he's got one tonight in his first try.
He's really a smart hitter. I mean, I think the league is starting to pitch him inside a little bit more than they did early. Because of his ability to go to right field. Well, now he's starting to get pitched inside. He's turning on pitches and getting a number of hits to left field. He's made some nice adjustments this year.
Pushing that batting average into the mid 270s now. A base runner for Scooter Gennett, who drops down a bit in the lineup against the left-hander. Gennett hitting 6th today.
Only lefty in that lineup tonight from Milwaukee.
I always wondered if it helps a left-handed batter like Gennett to see left-handed starters in back-to-back games. Jeff Locke pitched last night.
Sure it is. Yeah.
He's hit lefties well. He's hit 280 this year. That's been a big note for the Brewers, and it's turned Gennett into an everyday player this season. He'd been a platoon player up until this season. Fly ball to Polanco, and there is out number 2.
And a lot of times, when you have a left-handed pitcher out there that really relies heavily on the changeup, throwing a left-hander in there, not a bad idea, because most left-handed pitchers are not going to throw that changeup to lefties, although we've seen a couple of Pirate pitchers do it. So Watson do it, and last night's starter Jeff Locke threw some changeups to left-handed hitters.
Here's Will Middlebrooks.
So basically, you take away one of his best pitches if he's not willing to throw it against left-handed hitter.
Back-to-back starts for Middlebrooks. Will's going to be looking out ahead at the probables for every series, and you'll be glad to see left-handers among the starting pitchers for the opposition. That'll usually mean a start for Middlebrooks, and he's hoping to get hot here and start to get his big league career going again. He was off to a great start with the Red Sox. He actually made a run for Rookie of the Year in Boston back in 12. And then fell on some hard times, had some injuries, and a bad wrist injury, a broken wrist. Shattered some bones and just wasn't the same hitter when he came back.
He's made some adjustments to his swing. He was hitting the baseball pretty well down in the minor leagues for Milwaukee. Brewers are scheduled to face John Lester on Sunday. Cubs in town at Miller Park. That'll be a Middlebrooks start.
And a rematch of former teammates. Former Red Sox, Lester and Middlebrooks. There goes Perez, and Middlebrooks a little jam shot foul that'll end up on top of the Brewers dugout. As Rock mentioned, Perez has been a stolen base threat. Has 11 this year.
And you really don't think of Perez as a really fast guy. I mean, he can run pretty well, but he gets a really good jump. Very smart base runner, Hernan Perez. Just a good all-around player. 11 for 14 is Perez.
Two-two to Will Middlebrooks. Now 27 years of age. Signed with the Brewers. We saw a lot of them this spring. Had a big league invite this spring. Last year he played for Pat Murphy and the Padres, both at the AAA level, El Paso, and then in the big leagues. And down he goes. He chased strikeout number 4 already for Liriano. He is racking them up fast tonight against the Brewers.
Hanging out in the river. Hey, the Brewers announced today that tomorrow from 9 a.m. to midnight, the team is covering the cost of all ticket transaction fees as part of their No Fee Friday promotion, which means that you can get tickets to any remaining home game this season without paying ticket fees. Go to Brewers.com for details.
Looking forward to the homestand. Brewers have a nice long homestand coming up. Cubs, Diamondbacks, Pirates. Garza back at work. There's a bunt by Fryer, and Maldonado with a gun to first to get him. The Pirate catcher trying for the sneak attack with Matt Garza on the mound, and a great play there by Maldonado.
And turns his back on first base to get himself in position to throw. Took him a little while to get out of the squat, but once he did, that big arm able to gun him out at first base. Nice play by Martin Maldonado.
You know, Garza's throwing problems are well chronicled, and every now and then you'll see a team try to bunt on him. And the Brewer fielders know they have to be ready, not just the catcher, but third baseman as well. Middlebrooks was charging fast himself.
And notice how much care Maldonado took to make sure he had that ball in his hand before he spun around to throw to first. A lot of times you'll see a guy be too quick and just come up short and drop the baseball.
See, Maldonado's got those stickers on his fingernails. Looks like fingernail polish, but they are stickers, and it helps the pitcher see the signals. Blaze orange. Sometimes he forgets to take them off before he heads back to the hotel after the games. He gets a lot of questions about that. There's a strikeout for Garza. That's his first. And 2 up, 2 down here in the second inning. Back to the top of the order now.
Yeah, they didn't have those things back in the old days. We used to put some tape around their fingers. You know, the knuckle finger and the 2 knuckles.
Did you ever use whiteout?
No.
Liquid paper?
We weren't that smart back then.
Oh.
Just put some white tape around the ends of your fingers.
Did liquid paper even exist when you played? Was that a later invention?
I don't know. I didn't do a whole lot of writing back in those days.
You didn't make a whole lot of mistakes.
Although right now I use a ton of it up here.
There's a strike to Frazier.
Especially when they make late lineup changes.
Yeah, we had one today.
I used to go through a whole bottle of that stuff in a 4-game series against the Cardinals. Back in the Tony La Russa days.
Oh, right. As a
Lineup
broadcaster.
changes. Oh, yeah.
For your immaculate scorebook. That is now damaged goods. You should sell your scorebooks, Rock. I think people would be interested in having those. You could auction them off for your favorite charity.
I have one for the first half, one for the second half. I'll leave that up to you. You want to take control of that?
You want me to market your scorebooks?
Give them the honor flight.
That'd be a great idea. I'm sure the honor flight would appreciate that. I mean, you could actually do some good with it as opposed to throwing it into the trash.
I have every one.
For all time?
No, for the last, I would say 8 years.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to need some verification on that. If you wouldn't mind bringing 2009 to the booth tomorrow, that'd be good.
I don't think tomorrow. It's we're going to be getting in late tonight. I'm not going to dig them out.
I want to check out April 12th of 09.
How about Tuesday?
Okay. Down and in. Good block by Maldonado just in case there was a swing. The art of scorekeeping is turning into a lost art. But we salute all of you out there who still do it, especially when you come to the ballpark. It's a great way to follow the game. 2-2. Frazier, a swing and a miss, and Garza with a good bounce back. 3 up, 3 down with a couple of Ks after giving up 3 in the first.
The series finale between the Brewers and the Pirates. The Pirates have a 3-0 lead. I'm Sophia Minard, and BA and Rock, we're talking about the scorekeeping. I've got my scorecard here. It may not be as pretty or as color coordinated as Rock and BA's, but it still gets the job done. So we'll get to scorekeeping in just a moment, but Craig Counsell very pleased with the patience that his lineup showed last night. 9 walks drawn, their second highest total of the season from 10, also coming against Jeff Locke and the Pirates. So Counsell said that certainly it's one of those things that when they say hitting is contagious, that kind of approach can also be contagious, making good decisions with ball strike recognition. Of course, the pitcher has a role in that as well. So really liked the decision making, working 2 strike counts, and wants to continue that here tonight against Liriano.
Well, you know, the on-base percentage for the Brewers has been very good. And again, I mean, we've been talking about it just about all season. Getting on base really not the problem for the Crew. Most of the time it's coming up with that big hit, but they did a pretty good job of that last night. 9 walks, that's what he's talking about, being patient, but it's kind of one of those things, those statistical things that kind of has you scratching your head. A lot of walks, a lot of strikeouts. A lot of times those things don't go together.
Martin Maldonado leads off for the Brewers as Liriano misses down and in, and that'll push the count to 1-2. The Brewers are an interesting team this year, and it's unusual. I'm not sure I've seen anything like it in my time in Milwaukee, where you have a team that gets on base a lot, walks, hits, deep counts, a lot of pitches per plate appearance, but they don't drive them in well. So that's an area of concern as Maldonado strikes out. Number 5 for Liriano, already 1 out in the 3rd inning.
And you really can't say it's because you have a young lineup out there. I mean, you have some young players sprinkled in there, but you have guys that have been in the big leagues for a while. When you look at the Brewers lineup, and typically, you know, those are the guys that more times than not come through. But when you're swinging and missing with runners in scoring position, there's no way you're going to be able to drive in a run.
Matt Garza, his first trip to the plate, matching up against his former Minnesota Twins teammate. These 2 guys were young pitchers coming up in the Twins system, and both have bounced around significantly since that time, but they're both still at it all these years later. Both pitchers have a no-hitter in the major leagues, as Garza is down on strikes. 6 Ks, first time through the batting order for Francisco Liriano.
Yeah, season high in strikeouts, 10 for Liriano. He's done it twice. Well on his way to surpass that tonight.
2 outs, 2 up, 2 down. Here is VR back at the top of the order now.
Actually, he's done it 3 times. His last time out against the Washington Nationals, he struck out 10.
VR, the switch hitter, a strikeout victim in the 1st inning. Only hit first time through the batting order was Hernan Perez. Had a single to left. Liriano's got him down 0-2 quickly. That ball is hit in the air, center field, and deep and way back. Goodbye. Home run for VR. A monster home run from the Brewer leadoff hitter. Boy, there was no doubt about that one. Even McCutchen just turned and watched that one fly out of here.
Yeah, he took a couple of steps and then just kind of watched it. I mean, that was way back in center. Yeah, 399 is straightaway center, but it plays a lot deeper than that for some reason. Ball just doesn't carry out in center field here, but you know, fastball to VR out over the plate, and he gets all of it. Good extension, good follow through, and that ball just rides on out of here in center.
Number 7 for VR. The Brewers get on the board here in the 3rd inning. Powerball home run number 7, 35 RBIs now. And yep, that was a turn and watch home run for VR. I'll tell you, it had that sound right off the bat.
Yes, it did. Fastball. out over the plate, and he got good extension on it.
That's the other side of the strikeout story for Villar. Now, he struck out a lot this year, but he takes a big swing, and he's hit for a lot of power, a lot of doubles, home runs for a leadoff hitter especially. So there's a fine line in how much you want to coach out of him. You certainly want to try to cut down on the strikeouts, but you don't want to coach the power out of him either. There's a lot of guys like that in the big leagues. That is one of the biggest topics of conversation among scouts, baseball personnel around the league.
It's a fine line, right, to try and tell a guy to shorten up with 2 strikes, just trying to put the ball in play. You kind of take them out of their game. Same thing on the bases with Villar. Craig Counsell says he's got to be very careful what he says to Villar. He wants him to take chances, and because most of the time it turns out well for he and the Brewers. Exit velocity pretty good, over 100.
Brewers are on the board. All runs tonight coming on the home run ball. Matt Joyce hit a 3-run shot in the first. Elmore slow roller to third base. This is Freese. He got a nice easy hop, and that will retire the side. Jonathan Villar comes up with a big fly with 2 strikes at 0-2 pitch, and Villar did not miss it. Launch for home run number 7, and it's 3-1 Pirates. To put the tally on the board for the Brewers. Hey fans, if you can't catch the games on television, you can stream them live on your mobile device. It's the all-new Fox Sports Go app, and you can download the app, take Fox Sports Wisconsin and Brewers baseball with you wherever you go. Glad to have you with us here tonight from Pittsburgh. Brian Anderson, Bill Schroeder, Sophia Minard, Brent Reland, and Mark Vittorio in the truck, our producer and director, and Brian Mikulajic doing whatever he does in the truck as well. Gregory Polanco leads off for Pittsburgh. Walked and scored in the first inning. McCutchen to follow, and then Matt Joyce. Those were the 3 that scored the runs on Joyce's homer in the first. Polanco and McCutchen had walked, and then Joyce sent one out of here over the Clemente wall in right field. McCutchen due next.
Yeah, 94, that last fastball, pretty good velocity for Garza right on the outside corner. Good pitch.
You could almost see it coming in the first inning. back-to-back walks. He walked McCutchen on 4 straight pitches. And knowing he needed to get ahead, he grooved a fastball, and Joyce knocked it out of here.
Everybody seems to be throwing a lot harder here in this ballpark.
You think the guns are dialed up a little bit
in this series than we've seen before?
Maybe the hot weather?
Maybe. It's good baseball weather. Doesn't take too much to get a sweat going.
It's good broadcasting weather too. We get an easy sweat going at our age. Hit hard, a base hit to right. Over to cut it off. Oh, a misplay in right field by Perez, and Polanco is going to end up at second. Perez was over. He certainly was going to hold Polanco to a single, but he missed it. And Polanco ends up in scoring position.
Yep, tried the fastball again. This time left it out over the plate. You figure that's going to be an error. A single and an error allowing Polanco to get to second. He's in scoring position with nobody out. Content with first base until that ball got by Hernan Perez out there in right.
Single and an error on Hernan tonight. He's actually played really well in the outfield. I've been impressed with how he has adapted from his pedigree as an infielder to outfield play, but it showed up right there. And now Garza has to deal with McCutchen with a runner in scoring position.
He's had a real good arm in right field. I mean, very strong, accurate arm, very quick release. He throws like an infielder, but you know, has the carry on his throws of an outfielder. That reminds you a lot of Ryan Braun the way he does it.
McCutchen, a base hit to left. Polanco will hold at third. And Andrew McCutchen with his first hit, on base twice now, and the Pirates are threatening quickly in the third inning.
You see, it's all about location with Garza. I mean, threw a couple of really good pitches to Polanco on the corners and down, and when he throws them there, that's not going to get it done. I mean, too much of the plate, and Andrew McCutchen, good fastball hitter, able to find the hole out there in the left field.
And so 2 on for Matt Joyce. Joyce with his 9th home run of the year. Now 30 runs batted in. That first inning 3-run home run. It's a high wall in right field. It's 21 feet to honor Roberto Clemente, and Joyce had plenty to get it out of here. It had some heat on it as it reached the stands. Garza could use a double play ball in this spot. They'll concede the run to turn 2.
Got to start getting that breaking ball over for strikes. He just did that time, a slider. The Pirates have been all over the fastball so far.
On the ground, Carter's got it. Goes to second, out there. The return throw is not in time. Garza got over there. Joyce took a tumble across the bag. Run scores. Polanco. The Pirates take a 4-1 lead, and that'll be an RBI for Joyce. I'm sure the Brewers are going to want to take a look at this video.
Yeah, a lot going on over there at first base. Matt Garza able to get over to first. Playing it like a first baseman. He goes down on a knee, and Joyce just kind of tripped over the bag. A nice play by Garza to get over there, fielding his position, and just tripped over first base. I don't think he stepped on Garza. He didn't.
Yeah, it looked like he was clearly safe, so no challenge for the Brewers. That'll be an RBI for Joyce. Carter was just a little boxy getting the ball over to VR at second. He went to the knee to make sure he had it in the glove. It was hit pretty well.
Got to make sure of one. I mean, if you don't have a good grip on it or you're not in position, take your time, make sure you get an out.
Joyce with all 4 runs batted in for the Pirates. So when Clint Hurdle had to make a decision on who to replace, he pulled the right card in Matt Joyce. 1 gone, runner at first, a run is in. David Freese at the plate. Freese and Joyce were teammates with the Angels last year. Freese went from St. Louis to Anaheim. First year as a Pirate. Back in the National League Central Division. Set a bounce back year. There's a throw to first by Maldonado. Joyce is back.
A couple of doubles in yesterday's game for David Freese, an RBI. Very good power to right center. Ripped one off the right field fence last night.
Took him a little while to get to the big leagues. Had an up and down career. Actually quit baseball at one point. Didn't arrive to the major leagues until age 26. But when he got there, he was an impact player for St. Louis, especially in the postseason. Freese was the MVP of the 2011 NLCS against the Brew Crew, and then the MVP of the World Series against Texas. In those 2 series, in 13 games, Freese had 16 RBIs and hit 4 home runs. Monster numbers.
Yeah.
And they were crushers.
Yeah, Rangers thought they had the World Series won, except for this guy.
Knocked one over the head of Nelly Cruz in right field. Had a home run, a game-winning home run. Never take that away from him. It's one of the great moments in World Series history. Runner takes off on the ground. Jeanette shovels it to VR out there, and that's an easy double play after that. So good work by Jeanette. A quick shovel pass over to VR. Garza gets out of the inning.
Series, no rain yet.
Oh my gosh. Why would you say that, Rock?
Hey, break out your starter jackets and overalls, because 90s night is coming to Miller Park on Saturday, July 30th. Fans who purchase this special ticket package will receive a fresh Will Smith player tee. For tickets, go to brewers.com/theme nights.
Shame on you, partner.
Why, you think it's going to rain because I said that?
Maybe. It rains a lot here in Pittsburgh.
You don't believe in jinxes, do you?
Oh, for sure. Especially during no hitters. Ryan Braun will lead off against Liriano to start this 4th inning. A strikeout victim in the 1st. And Braun on the first pitch, a bouncer back to the mound. Nice play, Liriano. Out number 1. One pitch and 1 out for Liriano. Here comes Chris Carter.
That guy that leads the National League in walks has been pretty efficient tonight, getting ahead in the count. Throwing good quality strikes. There's not a whole lot that comes out of his hand that's straight. I mean, good tail in his fastball. He's got that slider, the changeup. Just a matter of him being able to throw the ball over the plate. He's doing it tonight.
And he zips in a strike with a fastball there on Carter. Liriano has not been able to give the Pirates those long outings that they're hoping for. He has not pitched 7 complete innings since May 18th. Most of his outings are 5 and 6 innings. Went 6+. His last time out, he pitched into the 7th but did not record an out against Washington. Ended up giving up 3 earned runs. 17th career game against the Brewers as Carter bounces one to short. Shift was on. Mercer makes a play. 2 up, 2 down.
Yeah, 11th season for Liriano, 4th with the Pirates. Started his career with the Minnesota Twins.
He's been the comeback player of the year back in 2013. He was the starter and winner in the wild card game against the Reds that year. Also had a hit in that game. Pitched in the NLDS that season in 13 against St. Louis. Threw a no-hitter 2011. Perez a swing and a miss. No-hitter came as a member of the Twins. It was the first no-hitter of the year that year. An early May no-hitter against the White Sox on a cold day in Chicago. Wave and a miss. Perez strikes out, and that's a tidy inning for Liriano. Strikes out number 7. 3 up and 3 down go the Brew Crew in the 4th.
Here in the fourth at PNC Park, time now for our T-Mobile greater coverage of baseball. And last night it was a career night for Hanley Ramirez for the Red Sox. Last night 3 for 4, 3 home runs for him, 6 RBIs, the first time he has done so in his career in what was an 11-7 win for the Red Sox. Clayton Kershaw, we told you he had a setback. Well, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts said that surgery would now be more likely to repair that herniated disc for Kershaw. And Prince Fielder, former Brewer, also placed on the disabled list. He may be looking at season-ending neck surgery as well for herniated disc. So plenty of injury news here in the second half.
Yeah, that's tough news right there. And Rock, you speak from experience about the herniated disc as John Jaso leads off this inning against Garza. That's a tough injury to come back from.
Second time for Prince.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's already been through that once.
2 years ago, Fielder had that surgery, came back last year, won the comeback player of the year in the American League.
Yeah.
Might be the reason he's not hitting for much power. He's had a really poor season offensively. Shift is on. The Brewers put a shift on with 2 strikes, and it works out beautifully.
Yeah, that was one of the toughest things I've been through, was that herniated disc, the neck surgery, and the recovery from that. And I know I'm a lot older than Prince, but to be able to come back from that and play the major leagues at the level that he was able to do it for a year is incredible, because that is some big time surgery there.
Well, and Prince is a little further along in his career. He came up in 05. He's got a decade in the big leagues. Kershaw's a different story, though. Kershaw's only 28. He's moving into the prime of his career. He has been the dominant pitcher in the major leagues. 3 Cy Youngs, an MVP. And you just wonder, what will his career look like after a potential surgery? He still has a lot of years left on his deal. He is signed through the 2020 season. That was a 7-year contract that he signed before 2014.
You just hate to see that happen to players like Kershaw and Prince, for that matter, some of the best players in the league. And baseball needs those guys to compete and stay out on the field. Good for the game.
Well, the guy Kershaw has compared the most to is Sandy Koufax, who had 12 years in the big leagues, 6 mediocre years, and then 6 seasons that no one will ever match.
Right.
And his career ended after 12 years in the major leagues. And let's hope those guys can come back if in fact they do go to surgery. 2 contending teams, by the way. The Dodgers are right there in the picture. They're behind the Giants starting play today, 4.5. Mercer takes a ball, and the count to 3-1 now.
Lonely feeling out there in the mound. He can't throw that curveball for strikes. I don't think he's thrown one for a strike yet tonight. Maybe one. Forcing you to go with that fastball, and the Pirates have been all over it.
There's a fastball, and it's on the ground to Jeanette. Well placed, and out number 2. Let's take a look at our Carsoup.com trivia question tonight. Which starting pitcher did Matt Garza replace in the Twins rotation in 06? That's a good question.
Is he in the ballpark?
He is in the ballpark.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question tonight. There was a subtle reference to it earlier in the broadcast. I didn't know what the trivia question was. I might have almost given it away. Here's Eric Fryer with 2 outs. Garza came up with the Twins. He was traded to the Tampa Bay Rays. Traded from the Rays to the Cubs. Cubs to the Rangers. Signed a free agent deal with the Brewers 2 years ago. Garza had 2 years in Minnesota. Made it to the big leagues when he was 22. From Fresno, California. Now 32. Selma, just outside Fresno, is his official town he was born in, raised in Fresno. A little flare into right. That's going to fall, a base hit. So the Pirate catcher, Eric Fryer, is on. He was playing a lot with injuries to the Pittsburgh catching core, specifically Francisco Cervelli. And he's been hitting a lot. His batting average is .339 coming into play tonight.
That dumps one out there in the right field. He tried to bunt his way on his first time up. Good play by Maldonado. Clears the pitcher for the next inning, if nothing else.
Liriano can swing the bat a little bit. He's got a high batting average this year. He's hitting .270 now. That includes a double and 4 runs batted in. He's been used as a pinch hitter a couple of times for Clint Hurdle this year as well. You can tell he's serious about his hitting. He wears the elbow guard on his lead elbow, which is his non-throwing arm. He wants to dig in and stand up there on top of the plate and be a hitter.
Hang right in there.
You see a lot of pitchers wear the brace when they hit opposite of how they throw to protect their throwing arm. It's not the case here. Broke his bat. Two and two the count on Liriano. Garza trying to get through this fourth. Pirates have 4 on the board. 3-run home run Joyce and an RBI on a fielder's choice for Joyce in the third. He's driven in all 4 tonight. Liriano pulls it foul.
Making him work. Not an easy out up there. Hitting .270, not bad.
Garza struck him out last time, or his last time up, his first strikeout. Only. And there's a base hit into left center. So Liriano lives up to his reputation this year. He delivers a base hit, and now 2 on with 2 outs, and the inning continues for Garza.
Yeah, fastball up and away, went right with it. Good at bat for Liriano. Check out the pitch. Outer half, too much of the plate up in the zone, giving Liriano a chance, and hit it hard into center field. So Fryer with a flare in the right, and you figured if nothing else you clear the pitcher, but now the top of the order's coming up.
And now Garza's got some high stress pitches to deal with here. High pitch count 68 right now for Garza, still trying to get through the fourth. He's issued 2 walks. He's given up 6 hits. Pitching coaches sometimes talk about command problems. Wild in the zone is something you hear a lot.
Yeah, not always the base on balls, right? Getting too much of the play. That's what Garza's been having a difficult time with tonight. Finding the corners, getting too much of the middle of the plate like that.
There's a base hit. That's going to bring in a run. Adam Frazier with a single to the opposite field, and with 2 outs, the Pirates come up with 3 consecutive hits, and it's 5-1 Pittsburgh.
Yeah, just too much of the plate, getting it up in the zone. And when you're up like that, I mean, you don't have to hit them hard. It's already elevated for you. Flares it out there into left field, and a run in. Hardest hit ball of the inning was Liriano's single to center.
Fryer had a little flare into right center, and now Frazier took a little flare. His 3rd RBI as a Pirate. Makes it 5-1. And this game is getting close to unreachable. Still plenty of time here, but Garza can ill afford to give up any more at this point. He's got to deal with Polanco now.
And especially with the way Liriano has been throwing on the mound. I mean, he's been tough.
Yeah, a 4-run lead's not insurmountable, but the way Liriano's going, it makes it feel like a lot more than that. But this is a key hitter for Garza right here and now. 3 straight hits. Got some power coming up in Polanco and McCutchen. 2 outs in the inning, 2 on. Polanco's been on twice, a walk and a single. He hit a bullet last time up. Drove on the right. Would have gone as a double in most scenarios, but the Brewers play their outfielders very deep. And Perez made an error trying to field the ball. So it went as a single and an error. Polanco hits it sharply again, a base hit. And they're going to wind up Liriano. He's on his way to the plate. No, he stops. And a throw comes in from Perez. How about that?
Boy, did you see how deep Perez was out and right? I mean, I know that's the pitcher running, and Liriano not fast by any stretch. I mean, he's pretty slow. But still surprised that they held him up.
I thought I saw Rick Sofield wave him home initially.
Check out how deep Perez is. That's a long throw. You're going to see him right here. Watch how deep he's playing out there. He is way back out there. He has to come over toward the line, and look how deep he is when he throws the baseball. Still a pretty good throw. That's what we were talking about with Perez. That arm pretty good.
Well, Frazier thought he had the go sign. He rounded the bag and had to go all the way back.
Good base running. Running with your head up, not down.
4 straight hits, and now it's Andrew McCutchen as the Brewer bullpen starts to get active. McCutchen just missed one. A pop-up. Took a big hack on the first pitch. And this is going to get Garza out of the inning. That's a huge break for Garza. Gives up 1, but strands the bases loaded. 5-1 Pirates. Milwaukee Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Hupy and Abraham. 1-800-800-5678. Hupy and Abraham. Tell them you mean business.
The Pirates add to the their lead. They now lead it 5-1 as we head to the 5th here at PNC Park. And our AT&T high-speed replay, it's been a lot of Francisco Liriano. He's been getting a lot of swings and misses out of this Brewers lineup. 7 strikeouts for him so far through 4 innings. And manager Craig Counsell said that one thing that Liriano is so good at is working on the edge of the strike zone. And he said he's really good at getting those swings out of the zone. And so he said tonight, just like last night with the patience that they had, he said we need to do a good job of identifying the bottom and the inside of the strike zone. He thought this game would come down to whether they can make Liriano pitch inside the zone. And so he said if we're chasing outside, then he'll be winning that battle at the plate.
And that's what they've been doing so far. I mean, not so much in and out, but down in the zone, especially with that changeup. It's been a good one so far tonight.
Yeah, easier to say than do, especially when Liriano has good command. That changeup, hitters will tell you, looks just like the fastball, but it's 10 miles an hour slower. It's the same release. It's the same spin.
It goes from strike to ball very quickly. A lot of sink as it gets to home plate.
Scooter Gennett will lead off for the Brewers here in the 5th. Liriano with 7 Ks, 3 off his season best. Last time up, Gennett flew to left field. Garza just wrestling through every inning here tonight. Has given up runs in 3 out of the 4. Liriano has been on cruise control. He's given up 2 hits. One of those was a home run that came on a 2-strike pitch to VR. A 2-out, 2-strike home run in the 3rd. Five to 1 Pirates in the final game of the series. And Gennett strikes out. There's number 8 for Liriano.
And that's what Counsell's talking about. Got to make him throw strikes. I mean, he does lead the league in walks. But again, much easier said than done to lay off that stuff. That was a slider that time. Check it out. Starts as a strike, ends up as a ball. Strike, strike, ball when he swings.
So easy to watch the game from where we sit or watch the game from that center field camera and say, well, why would you swing at that pitch?
Yeah.
But when a pitcher is dialed in like Liriano, you could take all of these pitches and you could stop them halfway to home plate. The slider, the changeup, the fastball, and they're all in the same place. So when you're grooving like that, right, and then everything breaks off or slows down or speeds up on you, that's an impossible decision to make.
And what makes it even more difficult when he's going like he is tonight is that it's breaking very late. I mean, the changeup, he throws it, and right as it gets to the hitting zone, it starts to drop. Same thing with a slider. You know, a hitter can identify a pitch a lot easier when it breaks early. Early and big, a lot easier to deal with than short and late. And that's what Liriano's been doing here tonight.
Don't see many left-handers with sinkers, but he does sink it. He just had some tail action on that one to get Middlebrooks on the ground. And 2 up and 2 down. Liriano has retired 6 straight now. And facing Maldonado with 2 away. So much of successful hitting has to do with what happens in the count. Craig Counsell talks about it all the time. He talked about it with Sophia. Getting yourself in a favorable count. Swinging at pitches in the strike zone. Easier said than done. He knows how hard the game is too.
Yeah.
Counsell certainly understands how difficult it is against a guy like Liriano when he is dialed in. That's why baseball's so unpredictable, though, because you can't just look at the overall season numbers for Francisco Liriano and say, well, he's an easy target then because he's got an earned run average over 5. He's been great in the past.
And any time he goes out there, he could be that good again. He's got that kind of stuff. Getting up there in his career, he's got a lot of innings under his belt. He's had Tommy John surgery. Had that early on in his career. It looks like the same old Liriano that we've seen in the past.
Working the edges. Good take there by Maldonado. Liriano's Tommy John year was 2007. That was after his All-Star season, the only year he made the All-Star team as a rookie in 06.
And one of the reasons you talked about it, he's normally a second half guy. He does his majority of his good work in the second half.
They got in on the hands of Maldonado, the slider that time. The Pirates pitching coach Ray Searage gets a lot of credit for reclamation projects. Liriano is one of those. In his 3 years as a Pirate, Liriano's ERA has been in the low 3s in each of his 3 seasons, and they've been playoff seasons for the Pirates as well. Strikeout number 9. He's gotten Maldonado twice, and Liriano has retired 7 straight.
Josh Harrison triples. Ball goes into the dugout. Pirates walk it off, and that means you raise the Jolly Roger.
Well, that's how the game ended on Tuesday night. That was the voice of Greg Brown. Filling in for Greg Brown tonight is Rob King. He's there with Steve Blass, and we want to send our best. We played that for you because Greg Brown is away from the team tonight. His mother passed recently. She was buried today, just about an hour from here, Greensburg, Pennsylvania. She was 92. Marcella Kelly Brown, and Greg lost his mom. He's a great guy, great friend of ours, and we're thinking about Greg here today.
Yeah, very tough, you know, when you can't be around and you travel around, you're at the ballpark every night. It's tough when things like that happen. So, you know, good luck tonight to Brownie. He'll be back very quickly.
Coined the phrase, raise the Jolly Roger. He's got a few of them. Cannonball coming. He gets excited for sure. Yeah, so Rob King filling in, and next door is our old buddy Joe Block calling the radio broadcasts. There he is. Got a good shine on tonight, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Looks like he's out of that Pirates bullpen.
That's a fresh shave. That's a good point. Maybe the Pirates shaved their heads in the bullpen in honor of Joe Block.
Yeah, they've all shaved their heads, and it's such a good look for Joe that they decided to do it.
Joe, in his first year as the Pirate broadcaster, was with the Brewers for 3, and always good to catch up with Joe. He's doing a great job here. TV and radio for Joe Block. They alternate.
Didn't have us over, though, on the off night.
Nope.
A little disappointing.
A new baby in the house, little Nancy. Joe's working with Bob Walk, and always fun to see Joe. He's full of facts and information. Matt Joyce leads off. He has 4 runs batted in tonight of the 5 that the Pirates have scored. 3-run home run and then a fielder's choice and an RBI in the 3rd. Garza still out there. Pitch count at 78, working in the 5th inning. And a wave and a miss. That's a good breaking ball from Garza. He struggled with his curveball tonight, but he gets Joyce that time. 3rd strikeout for Matt.
Yeah, really pulling the string on it and getting Joyce way out in front. You see that curveball going straight down. That's a good pitch with 2 strikes. Craig Counts could use another couple innings out of Garza. He had a very short start in yesterday's game. Chase Anderson only went 4.
Ground ball to short. This is VR. And Freeze is out. 2 up and 2 down in the 5th. All right, Rock, remember our trivia question, carsoup.com trivia. Left you stumped. Which starting pitcher did Garza replace in the Twins rotation in '06? That would be Francisco Liriano.
Yep, and he is in the ballpark.
The 2 pitchers tonight, former teammates with the Twins.
Yeah,
Liriano just got hurt.
Yeah, back in the early days with the Twins, I mean, they had a couple of really talented left-handers. Johan Santana, the veteran. Liriano coming up. They were calling Liriano, you know, a clone of Santana. Pretty much the same stuff. Fastball, slider, changeup. But had Tommy John surgery a couple of years after he came up.
Garza was a 1st-round draft pick by the Twins. Made his debut August 11th after Liriano's elbow problems looked to be serious. They were. He required Tommy John surgery, as we mentioned, missed the entire '07 season. So they were teammates, but they didn't pitch in the same rotation when Garza first made it to the big leagues with Minnesota.
Yeah, this might be it for Garza this inning. He's due to lead off the 6th. As you see, Marinez is getting loose.
2 outs in the inning. Jaso pulls one foul. Five runs in against Garza. 5 earned. Pirates have 8 hits. And Jaso takes a ball. Second start at first base in this series. Started Tuesday night. On the bench last night. Here's a 2-2. Bouncer. Only infielder over there is VR. And that'll be a 3-up, 3-down inning. Could be the last of Garza. His spot due to lead off. We go to the 6th. The Brewers trail by 4.
In Pittsburgh, it's a 5-1 lead for the Pirates as we head to the 6th. And the Brewers Community Foundation will host its annual 5K Famous Racing Sausages Run Walk next Saturday, July 30th. Participants will enjoy a one-of-a-kind run with the sausages around and through Miller Park, with all proceeds supporting Fisher House, Wisconsin's mission to provide a home away from home for active military and veterans families. You can sign up today at brewers.com/BCF.
All right, Sophia, thanks. Here we go to the 6th inning, and the Brewers will have Andy Wilkins lead off, the pinch hitter. Garza's night is over. Wilkins still looking for his first hit as a Brewer.
The only right-hander on the bench is Jonathan Lucroy, and Craig Counsell doesn't want to use him in the 6th inning.
Save him for just the right moment. See if the Brewers can get to Liriano a little bit. He's been great tonight. The one run was a home run by VR, and it was a bomb. Came on a 2-strike pitch. 9 strikeouts for Liriano.
One of the few pitches that he's left down the middle. A fastball down the middle, and VR hit it a ton into center field.
One-two to Wilkins. 2-2 now. Now those offers start to pile up. Wilkins is in tough duty right now. He's basically a pinch hitter, and he's hitless in his 6 Brewer at-bats. A lot of pressure on him. He wants to stay in the big leagues, but it's tough to pull it off as a pinch hitter, and down he goes, and that strikeout number 10. That matches a season high for Liriano.
A tough duty for Wilkins. You know, lefty versus lefty against that guy. And Liriano, a .220 batting average coming in against lefties. He's very good against left-handed hitters. .270 against right-handers.
3rd time this year he struck out 10. Well, VR shows bunt, gets it down. It is going to roll foul. Almost a perfect bunt. Just hit the lip of the grass and trickled into foul territory.
Only play Fryer had. Let it go. I don't think the 10 strikeouts are that surprising of a stat for Liriano. I think no walks. That's the big surprise. I mean, he has been walking guys all year. Walked 4 his last time up. That was against Washington, and only 76 pitches, and that includes 10 punch-outs.
VR at the plate tonight, presented by Wendy's. The lone blemish on Liriano's line tonight. He hit a 425-foot home run in the 3rd. Exit velocity of 105 miles an hour. That's the longest home run and one of the hardest hit balls he's had all year.
Yep, 7 home runs, 3 as a right-handed batter, 4 as a lefty.
There are very few no-doubters here in Pittsburgh to center field, but Liriano gave up one to VR in that 3rd. Came on a 2-strike pitch. VR's got him right where he wants him again. 1-2 the count. Not this time. Struck him out. Changeup. Number 11. A new season high for Liriano. And his last 3 outs have been via the strikeout.
There it is. It goes from strike to ball very quickly and right on the outside corner. He's given up 2 hits. Both of the hits have come on the fastball. Perez a single in the 2nd, and then VR home run in the 3rd.
5 of his last 6 outs have been strikeouts. Liriano's faced 19 batters tonight, 11 Ks. Only given up 2 hits. Jake Elmore tonight has 2 ground ball outs to third. 0 for 2. Pirates are right in there in the wild card race. They're only 3 back. 3 back of the Marlins, who occupy the number 2 spot right now. Dodgers and Marlins are in. You got the Mets a game back, Cardinals a game back, Pirates are 3 back. Elmore down on strikes. Could not check it. Liriano strikes out the side. After the game tonight, starting up a series with the Cubs tomorrow, Friday. And a reminder that tomorrow is No Fee Friday, 9 a.m. to midnight. The Brewers covering the cost of all ticket transaction fees. That means you can get tickets to any remaining home games this season without paying any ticket fees. To get your no ticket fee Friday, visit Brewers.com for the game tomorrow. We call that the Bill Schroeder fee.
No fee.
So that's you'll be getting no salary over the next few months here.
I'm okay with that.
Jan Marinez is on to pitch, and Garza is out after 5 innings and 5 earned runs. Marinez will try to give Counsell a couple of innings here. Francisco Liriano has 12 strikeouts. He is 3 away from a career high, and he is going strong through 6 innings.
Marinez last pitched on Saturday against the Reds in Cincinnati, a scoreless 9th inning. Gave up a hit, a strikeout, hit a batter.
On the ground to third, Middlebrooks right there, and he'll make the play for out number 1. Mercer retired.
Really hard pressed to find somebody in that Brewers bullpen, and really hadn't done a good job since he's been called up. I mean, they've all been doing a really good job. Long relievers have been very steady and solid. They've all have had, you know, their times when they've been giving up runs, but for the most part, regardless of who's come up, they've all been able to get the job done. And they have Michael Blazek down in the minor leagues.
Yeah, Blazek on the comeback trail, had an injury and was ineffective when he came back, so they're figuring he needs some work at AAA. He'll be back though.
Yeah, worked for Knebel when he went down.
Eric Fryer, the Pirate catcher, at the plate. He singled and scored in the 4th. 1 for 2 tonight. I was talking to Matt Arnold about Marinez. Arnold is the Brewers assistant GM, and he was in Tampa Bay. He knew Marinez. They were together in that organization. Likes him a lot. He had high praise for him. It's not an easy job in that bullpen to pick up innings. It's an important one, though. try to bridge the gap in games like this. And Mariñez brings good velocity. He's had command problems in his career, but he seems to have rectified that, or at least he's working towards better command. And if he's a guy that can throw strikes, then he ends up as a late leverage guy. Nice play by Gennett. And a spin and a turn. Throws out Fryer for the second out of the inning.
Yeah, 9 walks, 26 strikeouts for Mariñez. That's pretty good. Been pretty good so far. Hey, tonight's time of the game winner, the Bridge Bar in Fremont, Wisconsin, if they call the Brewers in the next 24 hours. Called by 8 o'clock tomorrow. They get 40 tickets to a Friday night game in the Miller Lite Beer Pen. We're going to have one of those tomorrow night against the Cubs. Expecting a sellout, aren't they?
Yep. All 3 days.
This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite. I thought I'd ad lib a little.
Normally that doesn't go well, but I thought tonight you were spot on. But there are tickets available.
Right.
So
I said expecting.
Don't just assume there's a sellout.
No, we got room for you.
Get your tickets now before they sell out. It's going to be a lot of fun. The Cubs are in first place.
Get them before the Cub fans get them.
Yes, please. Mariñez against Liriano, and a little tapper to the mound. Easy enough. 3 up, 3 down for Jan Mariñez. Good work in the 6th. That'll get him another inning. Liriano back to work as we go to the 7th. Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers. It's Miller time.
Now we're talking about Francisco Liriano and how he's been able to throw tonight, making balls look like strikes right before it gets about the cutout of the plate. And that's the key to pitching. And check this changeup out. Look how long this pitch is. Looks like it's going to be in the strike zone. And right about now, gets to the cutout of the grass. Watch it just dip. Whoop, gone. Out of the strike zone, a ball. He's doing the same thing with his slider tonight. Out of the hand, most of the way to home plate. It looks like a strike. This is a pitch to Scooter Gennett. That looks like it's down the middle right now, but watch where it ends up when Scooter starts his swing off the plate, making balls look like strikes and going out of the strike zone after it's too late to make your mind up.
Oh, those little subtle movements right there. Great work from our crew. Excellent look at the 2 punch-out pitches tonight for Francisco Liriano. 12 Ks. His last 4 outs have been strikeouts, and 6 of his last 7 outs have been via the K. His career best is 15. He did that as a member of the Twins in 2012. And the Brewers would love to stop the strikeout binge right now for Liriano. It's going to be Braun to start it, then Carter, and then Perez. Braun is 0 for 2. Liriano struck him out looking in the first inning. And then Braun on the first pitch bounced back to the mound in the fourth. Ryan is in the top 10 in the league in hitting. Coming into play today, came in at .316 and started the day 7th in the league in batting. There's a base hit. Braun singles to right.
Yep, up and in and able to shoot it in the right field. Beat the shift that time. And still quick enough on the inside corner, even when he's protecting away with a changeup. That bat up high and keeps it up there and able to get enough of it, barrels it up and shoots it into right field. Perfect swing, always on balance. Never seems to be off balance after he swings.
A great balance spray chart there for Ryan Braun. And another hit to right field for him. Clean single. First hit for the Brewers since the VR homer in the third. Liriano had retired 10 straight until that hit by Braun. And now Carter get a long ball here. The Brewers are right back in it.
And no chances on the bases. Braun doing a good job staying put.
Carter tops the Powerball home run leaderboard with 22. Braun, Lucroy, Jeanette. 3 in double figures. Jeanette figures to join him at some point. And Carter, a swing and a miss, but it gets by the catcher, Fryer. On to second goes Braun.
2-0 changeup in the dirt. And that ball dipped very quickly as it got to the hitting zone. We just showed you that, how quickly that ball goes from strike to ball. Fryer not able to handle it, and Braun able to get into second base. That's a big deal because of all the ground balls that Liriano's been getting, along with the strikeouts. Pirates turn a ton of double plays.
Now base hit. The Brewers could put one on the board here. 2-1 the count to Carter. Up and away, 3-1. 90 pitches for Liriano. He really hasn't gone deep into games. Most pitches he's thrown all year, 111, but he has not thrown 100 pitches in his last 5 starts. Retired pitchers cringe at the 100 pitch discussion.
Yeah.
But it shows up each and every night. Guys get around that 100 pitch number and
start looking around. Looking around in the bullpen and who's picking me up.
Called strike 3. Carter takes one on the edge.
Slider, back door, right on the outside corner.
Number 13 for Liriano.
Second called strike 3. At Ryan Braun in the first inning.
Well, Liriano hardly needs his fielders tonight. Last 5 outs have been strikeouts. 7 of the last 8 outs are Ks. And here comes Perez now with 1 away. Braun at second, strike 1.
Well, there's only been 1 fly ball out. That was Scooter Jeanette in the second inning. Flew out to left.
bullpen activity. Neftali Feliz getting loose. He's the 7th inning man. Watson is the setup guy. Melancon is the closer. It's a pretty salty bullpen for the Pirates, although the Brewers got to him on Tuesday night. It was Hernan Perez who had a 2-out, 2-strike RBI hit off of Melancon to tie the game.
His second consecutive blown save.
Here's the 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike on Perez. The 2-1 pitch is away for a ball. Liriano was originally property of the Giants, but he ended up with the Twins in the A.J. Pierzynski deal. That was a trade that bit the Twins for a while, or rather bit the Giants for a while, because not only did the Twins get Liriano, they got Joe Nathan in that deal as well, and one of our all-time favorite names, Boof Bonser, in that trade. Remember Boof?
Yeah, I do.
Starting
Boof
pitcher.
Bonser. Yeah.
Nathan had some great years with the Twins, great years, and of course Liriano certainly gave him that punch. But he did spend a couple of years in the Twins minor league system with Garza. He's outlasted him here tonight. He's working in the 7th. 1 out with Braun at second base. And that is going to fall. A base hit. Perez singles. Coming in to score is Braun. And Hernan Perez with his second hit. Nobody's at second, so Perez takes advantage.
Yep, everybody with their head down. I'm not sure where Frazier was.
That's an RBI single for Hernan Perez. Second hit of the game.
And he continues to hit. How about this? Change up. Perez right off the end of the bat. This time it's up in the zone. Good heads up base running by Perez to get into second base. You see Mercer in a cutoff spot. I'm not sure what Frazier's doing. Where's he at? What's he doing?
Yeah, heads up base running by Hernan.
Yeah, where second baseman's got to be at second base.
Well, makes it a 5-2 game now. The Brewers are within 3. And Liriano getting a visit from his pitching coach, Ray Searage.
Yeah, one of the few mistakes that he's made with the off-speed pitch. Actually, the first hit the Brewers have on something other than a fastball tonight.
Perez sounded like he broke his bat, but he was able to get enough of it to dump it into center field. He's at second now, and a base hit could get the Brewers within 2. Here's Scooter Gennett. Hey, you wonder if this is the last hitter for Liriano. Feliz is ready in the bullpen. Leave him in for the lefty, and then you might see a change.
Yeah, then you got nothing but right-handers coming up. Although you got the pitcher spot with 2 lefties on the bench from Milwaukee.
Gennett down the line, hit hard, but he has pulled it foul. A bomb, but he got out ahead of it. Pickoff play, and it's into center field. Perez up and on his way to third. And that could be big. Runner at third with just one out now. Throwing error by Liriano.
And not even close. He didn't have his body squared to second base and threw it anyway. Threw it a little bit too quickly. And no chance for Mercer. And now ground ball is going to score a run. The old daylight play doesn't work that time, and now Scooter Gennett up there, he makes contact, hits a ground ball, he's going to get an RBI.
Gennett takes one just off the plate. 95 with the fastball. One of his better fastballs of the night. Reached back for a little extra on that one, knowing the end is near. One out, runner at third. The Brewers have a run in on 2 hits. And Gennett on the ground. That's going to get a run in. It'll be the second out, but the run scores. It is now 5-3 Pittsburgh.
Yeah, good job by Scooter to put it in play. The only lefty in the lineup. Looks like that's going to be the end of the line for Liriano. Well, the Brewers able to scratch out 3 runs against the left-hander.
Well, he'll get a nice hand on his way out. He's got a chance to win. 13 strikeouts. 6 2/3 innings and 3 runs. Liriano is out. Twice in the 7th inning. 2 outs, nobody on, and a pitching change. And we remind you that MLB on FS1 is back Saturday. Got a doubleheader, Giants, Yankees, and then the Rangers, Royals. Games you can only see on FS1. And the action starts at 3 Central. You can watch it live on Fox Sports Go as well. MLB on FS1 coming up Saturday.
Yeah, Royals 500 coming into play today. A little disappointing for the Royals.
Kind of drifting into seller mode, aren't they?
Yeah.
Certainly not in buyer mode. Former Royal, Neftali Feliz.
Good numbers for him. A .319 earned run average. We saw him on Tuesday. Pitched a scoreless inning.
And with 2 outs facing Will Middlebrooks.
Another hard thrower, slider, and good changeup.
I said former Royals. Former Ranger.
Right.
I beg your pardon. The R crossed me up.
Is that your mistake for the week?
I always think about Feliz. Every time he pitches for the Pirates and he looks over there at third base and sees David Freese, what do you think goes through his mind?
Yeah.
I mean, is he over that at this point?
I don't think he's ever going to get over that.
I mean,
that's one of those that you never forget.
Gut punch. Couldn't close the door on Freese and the Cardinals for the Rangers.
So close yet so far to win that World Series.
Will Middlebrooks looking for his first hit. 2 outs, nobody on, and Middlebrooks takes a 97-mile-an-hour fastball upstairs, 3-1.
Nice and easy 97.
That was always the thing about Feliz when he first came up, just easy power. The Rookie of the Year in 2010. The discussion with the Rangers was always, do we make him a starter or do we keep him as a closer? And they, after his great closing years of 10 and 11, they decided to make him a starter, and it was all downhill after that. He ended up needing surgery. Middlebrooks, a shot, but the man is there. And Frazier takes care of Middlebrooks to end the inning. But the Brewers get 2, a couple of hits, RBIs from Perez and Jeanette, and it's 5-3.
By 2 here in Pittsburgh, 5-3 stretch time here at PNC Park. And our minor league report, some unfortunate news for Adrian Houser. He underwent Tommy John surgery today in Milwaukee. He tweeted this earlier this afternoon. Today I had Tommy John surgery to repair a significant tear to my UCL. I just want to thank my family and the Brewers for supporting me throughout the process. And it was almost a year ago that Houser was acquired in the Carlos Gomez, Mike Fiers trade with the Astros, along with Josh Hader, Brett Phillips, and Domingo Santana, considered the 17th best prospect for the Brewers, and certainly we wish him the best as he begins the recovery process.
That'll be a long process, 12 to 15 months, and he'll come back good as new, but it's a long, lonely process at times, they tell you.
Yeah, a lot of rehab. You got to be very diligent and stick to it. Very difficult thing to go through.
He's got a bright future. He's got a big league future for sure. Mourinho's back at it. Ground ball to short. Villar with a beautiful play to get the out. And Frazier, who runs well, is cut down by an eyelash at first.
Now the Pirates want to take a look at it as usual. Every close play is looked at. There's a nice job by Jonathan Villar and showing off that big arm, that balance in and out of the glove, and on its way to first base. Looks like the Pirates are satisfied that the call was correct. And it was just by an eyelash.
So Mourinho's has retired 4 straight.
We always
ground ball outs.
Yeah, we always used to talk about that good balance with Gene Segura. I mean, he was really low to the ground.
Yeah.
Villar a lot bigger, but he still has that. Never seems to be off balance. I mean, coming in hard for a baseball, you know, going right to left. He always seems to have his feet under him, and is able to make a good strong throw.
He's been impressive this year. No doubt he's played his way into the plans moving forward for Milwaukee. The Brewers have the great shortstop prospect at AAA, Orlando Arcia. He's going to get every chance to prove he can play shortstop in the big leagues, but VR's a versatile guy. There's a ground ball to Jeanette. Bobbles, recovers, and there is out number 2, and another ground ball out for Marinez. That's 5 straight.
And I think the success of Jonathan VR has really squelched a lot of talk about bringing Arcia up too quickly. I mean, this guy deserves to be able to play shortstop at the major league level. He deserves that. He's earned that opportunity, and I think it's good for the Brewers in that they're able to keep Arcia down in AAA and continue to have success and not have to bring him up too quickly.
And there's development involved with VR as well. This is the most he has ever played. He's never really been the starting shortstop or a starting position for an entire season. Had that last year until June with the Astros, until Astros called up Correa.
And he keeps this up, he's going to be playing somewhere every day in this infield.
For sure. Craig Counsell talks about it all the time, about pushing VR. That's why he wants him out there every day. He's got to break through some of these thresholds as a young player. Games played, got to play through fatigue, and he's done it. He's had his moments, but he's been excellent this year. Ground ball to third, coming in. Middlebrooks, bare hand, throw to first, not in time. Infield hit for McCutchen. First hit against Marinez, a little slow roll to third.
Yeah, not a lot you can do about that. You can see Middlebrooks playing behind the bag. He made a nice play to make it close. McCutchen runs too well, particularly when he sniffs base hit.
Good play by Middlebrooks, but too much speed from McCutchen. He's got 2 hits and a walk tonight. But he might have had the biggest out in the game with the bases loaded in the 4th inning. That's why the Brewers are still in this one tonight. That could have been a put-away punch for the Pirates in the 4th. McCutchen popped up into foul territory with the bases full in the 4th inning in a 5-1 game.
That could have been a knockout punch right there, a base hit.
Matt Joyce has driven in 4 tonight. 3-run homer and an RBI on a fielder's choice, both off Garza. Shift is on for Joyce. I'll tell you, Marinez has some nasty stuff going tonight.
Yeah, slider, good pitch.
Fastball's got a lot of sink on it.
86-mile-an-hour slider.
He's not your normal middleman as far as stuff goes. He's just getting better and better every time out. I think one thing we're seeing here with the Brewers this year, there's more development in the big leagues than we're all accustomed to seeing. I mean, this happens in the minor leagues all the time, where you try to stretch guys out, put them in the right positions. You're using guys in different areas, still trying to win games, but there's a lot of players here that you're trying to get ready for next season as well.
Pitchers and position players, right?
Marinez would fall in that category. He's certainly pitching his way into the plans next year.
Yeah, Jeanette is showing that he can handle the bat against lefties. You got Perez playing the infield and the outfield, and I think the Brewers would love to be able to get Domingo Santana back, because you figure he's in the plans in right field. But in the meantime, I mean, Perez has really increased his stock by being able to play out there.
Right field, back-to-back starts for Perez. Third base in the opener. Basically, he plays right field when a left-hander's on the mound. He plays third when the opponent is a right-handed starter. Two to Joyce, down and in, ball 3. That's going to send McCutchen on his way. traveling time for Andrew McCutchen, as Mr. Baseball would say. Got to keep that run off the board in this inning for Mariñez. Full count. There he goes, and it's low, ball 4. Missed with it.
Tried to get him with sliders and just not able to get him to bite.
Suddenly 2 on with 2 outs. Infield hit and a walk. Blaine Boyer's ready in the bullpen. I wonder if Counsell is going to let Mariñez try to get out of his own mess here. Looks like it.
I think he'd like to have the velocity against David Freese. He's such a good hitter to the opposite field. You can pound him inside and get him out.
I'm guessing that call to the bullpen was last hitter from Counsell to Lee Tunnell, the bullpen coach.
Right.
Harrison's going to pinch run for Joyce.
And left-hander on deck.
Jaso due next. Mariñez facing David Freese with 2 on, 2 out. Same game plan to use against Matt Holliday is the plan used against Freese.
Yeah, be careful. Middle speed down the middle. He just threw one, a slider. On a 1-0 pitch, fooled him.
Watch Maldonado behind the plate, see where he goes. Breaking ball, and it bounces in. Good block back there. Some pitchers like the catcher to set up early. Greg Maddux was that way. Set up, get to the spot, and let me pitch to it. Some pitchers and most pitching coaches want the catcher to set up as late as possible.
So the hitter can't see where you're at, or he can feel him when he comes inside. He can just sense. Like there.
Oof, that was a hanger.
Yeah.
It's 95, but it's got a little cut to it, and right in the middle of the strike zone. This guy's got great stuff. We've seen some of the highest radar gun readings of the year in this series.
Yeah.
Both teams.
Yep.
2-2 to Freese. 2 on, 2 out. And Freese just foul. Wow. Not by much. That was close. That would have emptied him. First base umpire Carlos Torres was right on it.
Ethery had to jump out of the way. Yeah, they had Junior Guerra at 98 a couple of pitches in this ballpark. I think it's a bit of a hot gun. Ooh, pretty close. Not reviewable.
That was close. Mariñez had it going. He had retired 5 straight. But then a little soft hit, infield hit for McCutchen, then a walk. And now the Pirates are threatening. 2-2. Inside goes Maldonado, and a jam sandwich.
That's where you want
Foul
it.
ball.
That's where you want it, up and in. Just don't want to make a mistake with a slider down the middle. Or even away, but up. That's right in the wheelhouse of David Freese.
Right field in the air, routine for Perez. That's good work by Mariñez. Bent a little, didn't break, and the Pirates go scoreless across his 2 innings. 5-3 Pirates top 8 coming your way. And for the first time ever, the Baseball Hall of Fame is on tour, featuring an IMAX History of Baseball movie, plus an entire virtual reality gallery that puts you in the game. It's at Miller Park right now through the 31st. Tickets are available at HallOfFameTour.com. You got to go check it out. There'll be big crowds at Miller Park. That's a great thing to do. Come early and enjoy the road show.
Nothing like the history of baseball. I mean, if you're a casual fan, you need to see that. Some of the old-timer stuff out there is you see a bunch of changes for the Pirates.
Harrison stays in. Hurdle tightens up his defense. There's Starling Marte, who did not start tonight. He was dealing with flu symptoms. That pushes Polanco over to right. Rodriguez at first, and the new pitcher is Tony Watson, the left-hander. And Maldonado with a base hit on the first pitch. The Brewer backup catcher singles. And that'll get it going. Now Lucroy is going to pinch hit, representing the tying run.
Yeah, Brewer's not going away quietly. They're just hanging right in there, and you can thank the Brewers bullpen. Mariñez throwing up a couple of scoreless innings, allowing the Brewers to get back in it. Tony Watson, hard thrower, terrific changeup for the lefty. One of two left-handers down in that Pirates bullpen. Excellent numbers at 285 earned run average, and he gets a lot of work. 42nd appearance.
Jonathan Lucroy. So the two all-stars are back in this game now in this 8th inning. Marte in left, and now Lucroy getting a pinch hit appearance. Lucroy comes in with 12 homers, 48 runs batted in.
Had 3 RBIs in last night's game.
Takes one inside for a ball. Lucroy was 1 for 3. Drove in those 3 runs.
And he stole a base.
He did, yeah. He was one of the 5 stolen bases for the Brewers last night. On the back end of a double steal, Braun was ahead of him. 2-1 to count. And right back to Watson. And it's mishandled. A bad throw. Mercer was a little late covering. And a huge break for the Brewers now.
The Brewers really getting a lot of breaks by this Pirate defense. A couple of errors by the pitcher. So Liriano throw one away. Not sure who's going to get this error, but not a very good throw by Watson. Had plenty of time. That wasn't that bad a throw. A little bit late. It looked like Mercer a little bit late getting there, and just went right off the heel of the glove. An error on somebody. And the Brewers have a couple of men on with nobody out.
Well, you could see Mercer trying to time his move to the base to catch and throw in one motion, but a low throw opens the door for the Brewers. Now the top of the order is coming up. The second E1 of the game for Pittsburgh. And here is VR, who has homered tonight. Shows bunt right back to the mound, going to third, out there. And an easy play for Watson. VR was trying to bunt that toward third.
Trying to bunt it for a base hit. That wasn't a sacrifice. Don't believe that he was sacrificing. Trying to bunt his way on to load the bases. Right back to Watson, who had an easy play at third base. Doesn't get much easier than that.
Yep, so the Brewers give an out away. Still 2 on though, and here comes Elmore. You got Braun due up next. That's the guy you want to bat in this inning. This will be the biggest at bat for Elmore as a Brewer. He got the start today in center field, his first career start in center field in the big leagues. Elmore is looking for his first RBI as a Brewer. He is 2 for 13 at the plate. Check it, 2 for 14 at the plate now. Well, Watson is tough. That big fastball. It looks good up there, but it's almost impossible to square it up.
He slings it in there. He hides it pretty well, and it's on you very quickly. And then he has that good changeup to go with it.
1-2 the count. It was 5-1 Pirates. They had the bases loaded with McCutchen at the plate in the 4th. And since that time, the Brewers have been able to score twice. They're within 2 now, as Elmore pops this one up in the infield. Catcher's out, third baseman's in, and it'll be Freese to make the catch. Second out of the inning. Elmore retired. And here comes Ryan Braun now. Well, this is the bat the Brewers want at the plate in a spot like this. One swing of the bat, the Brewers could lead in this game.
And he got great speed on the bases. Well, actually, great speed at first base. That's a guy. I mean, you find a gap, and VR might be able to tie this one up.
Watson has given up 4 home runs this year. And Braun takes a ball inside. 95 with a fastball. He missed with it. Pirates, like most teams, try to bust Braun inside. But if you miss by a little,
that's where you pitch good hitters.
Right in the sweet spot.
But it's difficult to pitch in there.
And a swing and a miss and a changeup. Fastball in, changeup away. It's 1-1 now on Braun.
We've seen some pretty good ones, haven't we? Liriano and now Watson on a 1-0 pitch.
Planted that seed as well. 2 on, 2 out. Brewers down 2. And Braun on the ground to short. Mercer coming in. And that's it. So Watson pitches around his own error. Strands 2. And we're going to the bottom of the 8th with the Brewers still down 2. greatest shortstop of all time.
Wow.
Statistically, it holds up.
300,000. That's not even major league minimum.
Yeah. How about that card? I think Wayne Gretzky owned that card at one point. He might still own it. I don't know. Marte's first at bat, and he swings at the first pitch. He's out. Playing with the flu tonight. Blaine Boyer is on the mound for the Brewers.
And Brewers bullpen has held the Pirates off the board last 2 innings. Been very good. And Blaine Boyer, 36 appearance, and an earned run average of 386. Not a strikeout pitcher, but he's got all 4 pitches working for him normally and gets a lot of ground ball outs. Only 2 home runs allowed for Boyer.
Jordy Mercer now with 1 away. I think Boyer's beard is getting longer. It's growing into more of a Yukon Cornelius fashion right now. It's thick and long, Rock. It's impressive.
I mean, it's very well sculpted right now. It was a little bit more unruly about a month ago.
Yes, it was.
You know,
good word. There's a shot, and off the glove of Jeanette. Scooter was covering the middle, but he couldn't make the play.
I thought he believed he was going to make that catch just right off the glove, if it indeed did hit the glove. I think it surprised him a little bit as to how hard it was hit. Mercer right back through the middle. You can see Jeanette, I think it went off the thumb of his glove, and he should have had it.
Yeah, he knows it. You can tell by his reaction out there, shaking his head. So a base runner with 1 out. Here's Eric Fryer. Looking ahead to the Brewer 9th inning. It'll be Carter, Perez, and Jeanette. And Boyer's task is to try to get to that 9th, only down 2. Pirates scored 3 in the first. Solo runs in the 3rd and the 4th. Runner takes off, and a hit and run is on. A base hit. Perfectly executed. And now the Pirates are in business in the 8th. 1st and 3rd with 1 out. You don't see the hit and run much these days. But it works that time, and this kid Fryer just keeps on hitting.
Yep, he stays right on it. A fastball just slices it into that vacated area over at second base. Nobody even close to that spot. Now you figure the Brewers are going to have to make a play at the plate. Looks like they're going to move back for a double play up the middle.
They'll try to turn 2 to get out of the inning. It's going to be Sean Rodriguez, who came in defensively to play first last inning. His first at bat. 2 on, 1 out. Boyer in trouble here in Pittsburgh in the 8th. Rodriguez, versatile bench player for the Pirates, plays all over. He was another guy that was a shortstop coming up through the minor league system. Joe Madden is the one who had him start to play multiple positions with the Tampa Bay Rays.
Plays just about every day, at least he has against the Brewers. He's always come into first base late in the game. Normally replacing Jaso over there at first base.
It's a good feeling for a bench player, though, to know you're going to have a chance to contribute just about every day. And By comparison, Rodriguez has played in the same amount of games as Gregory Polanco, the starting right fielder.
Right.
But Rodriguez has just a little more than half of the at-bats as Polanco. But he's a part of it. A shot to third, chance for two here. Middlebrooks to Jeanette, the throw to first in time, and Boyer gets out of it. Around the horn the Brewers go, and now we go to the ninth. Brewers down 2.
Pittsburgh down by a pair. They're going to have to deal with the Pirates closer. And MLB TV Premium is the #1 live streaming sports service. Watch every Adam Markey game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Go to Brewers, I should say MLB.TV for details.
To the ninth we go. Tonight's game on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. And last call for the Brewers. They're going to have to do it against Mark Melancon, their all-star closer. 27 saves. He's blown 3 though, and Rocky's blown his last 2 save appearances.
Yeah, blew a save on Tuesday night against Milwaukee, although the Pirates won in the bottom of the 9th inning. He also blew a save in Washington, and it cost the Washington and the Pirates game 18 innings. 2 consecutive blown saves, but 27 out of 30 for Melancon. He's been pretty good over the last few years.
That was Perez with the base hit on Tuesday. What's interesting for the Pirates, and a good thing for the Pirates, is the fact that Melancon has blown his last 2 saves, but the Pirates have won both of those games, winning in walk-off style here Tuesday night. So the man they call Mark the Shark will face Chris Carter to start the inning. The Brewers need a base runner. They are down 2. Chipped away at the Pirates with a run in the 3rd on a VR homer, and then they scored twice in the 7th. Perez and Jeanette with RBIs in that inning. And a shot back up the middle, but right there is Harrison. 1 pitch and 1 out for Melancon. Well, the Brewers are back home tomorrow night. Brewers Cubs in our Miller Lite What's on Tap. And they will see Hamill, Lackey, and Lester. Going to miss Arrieta in this series. The Brewers will have Jimmy Nelson, Zach Davies, and then Junior Guerra.
Throwing out their 3 best so far this year.
All had good starts to start the second half. Here's Perez. Had the big hit off Melancon to tie the game on Tuesday night. Going to be a big crowd at Miller Park. Going to be a playoff atmosphere over the weekend against the Chicago Cubs. Looking forward to it. That is a swinging strike unable to check his swing, and it goes to 0-2.
A lot of cut fastballs from Melanson. He's got a good one, although he struggled his last couple of times out.
One ball, 2 strikes. Scooter Gennett to follow. And a big curveball in there. Misses low. There aren't a lot of closers that work from the windup. Most relievers, most closers will always be in a stretch, but Melanson is not one of them.
Yeah.
He's been a good one.
Much more comfortable for him, I guess, and feels as though he's got better rhythm out of the windup.
2-2 the count. And he misses again. Now 3-2. Perez hanging tough. Melanson missing with his breaking stuff.
You got to figure those 2 blown saves a little bit in the back of his mind. I mean, he's been around long enough to not let him bother him too much, but you got to believe it's hanging around in that head somewhere.
Well, especially as good as Watson is, he blows 1 or 2 more, and they're going to have a closer controversy here. As great as Melanson has been, you're in a pennant race. Managers aren't too patient this time of the year.
Right. They'll pull the trigger very quickly.
Sometimes it's an all-out replacement. Sometimes it's just to get a reset. I remember Joe Madden did that with Rondon last year. Shut him down for about 10 days. Told him, you're not going to close at all. You don't even have to worry about it. Don't stress. Gave him a mental break, and he came back. He was lights out. Perez, a sharply hit ball to short. Mercer makes the play for out number 2. 2 ground ball outs for Melanson. Good battle there by Perez, but Melanson got him.
He couldn't get that curveball over for strikes, but he's always got that cutter to go to. But Perez hit it hard. 2 hard hit balls in this inning, but both outs.
And the last hope for the Brewers is Gennett. 36,000 on hand tonight. They've had great crowds in this series, and they are on their feet for Melanson. Scooter tonight is 0 for 3, but he did drive in a run with a ground out his last time up to make it a 2-run game. Brewers had a golden opportunity last inning. First 2 men reached. There was a throwing error by the pitcher Watson. VR tried to bunt, and it was a bad bunt. Ended up as a force out, and then Elmore and Braun were retired to end the inning.
Not a bad play, but just a bad bunt.
1-1 to count. And Gennett in a hole at 1-2 now. Cardinals are losing tonight 5-1. Pirates could pick up a game on St. Louis. Cubs are off tonight. Probably already in Milwaukee. Ready for the series tomorrow. 1-2 to Gennett. Hanging tough.
Yeah, first series of the year at Miller Park, Joe Madden decided to have his Cubs come in day of the game. Although the Brewers took 2 out of 3, might change that.
Scooter battling at the plate. Fouling off another 2-strike offering. Pirates could get within 8.5 of the Cubs with the win tonight. And Pittsburgh in the wild card picture could get to 2.5 back of the second spot. Brewers would love to spoil the party here in front of 36,000. 2 gone in the ninth. Brewers down a pair. And the 1-2, swing and a miss. Jeanette on his way to first. They secure it at first, and that's the ball game. Melanson comes back, picks up the save. His 28th, makes a winner out of Liriano. Liriano strikes out 13 tonight and is now 6-9 as the Brewers drop 2 out of 3 to the Pittsburgh Pirates. 1-2-3 inning for Melanson. And a 5-3 Pirate win. Time for Brewers Live. Let's check in with Jeff Grayson. He's in our Fox Sports Wisconsin studio. Jeff?